thank you all for coming. This is sort of my one day in Toronto that I have a chance to talk about how great we are to a broad audience. I've spent all morning and afternoon doing presentations to different investment banks, and appreciate everybody's support. And this is one that we're just bringing the broader community here. So obviously, I'm very grateful for you coming. I personally view this as like a report card. How we're doing, what we promised a year ago, what we've done, and what we're promising now for 2024. So a year from now, I'll come back and I'll do what we've done now for 6 consecutive years. We've hit our targets. We've done what we said we were going to do, and I'm expecting we're going to do it again this year. So it's a report card and a kind of a summary of where Equinox is today. By far, the most important catalyst for the company is the Greenstone mine completion. And I am just falling over proud and happy and appreciative to say that today we have a really fantastic support team, some extremely important people to our operation at Greenstone, to the construction, which is our local community leaders, the Indigenous nations who are there supporting us, partners with us, and also the mayor of Greenstone's come down, Gerald, to be part of this. And I'm so thankful and appreciative of all of you coming here. You know, we get a lot of questions on why Greenstone is doing so well compared to the train wreck of other Canadian mining companies that have blown budgets, blown schedules, blown their equity investors up, and why we haven't had that happen to us. And quite frankly, it's the support from the communities, number one, and the strength of Eric and his team. And so, Eric, you know my appreciation of you and your team, this big team behind you that you represent here. Can you please introduce the leaders who are here, who've come here from the Greenstone area?
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, Ross. Today with us, we have all community of Greenstone. We signed 5 IBA, 5 agreement, and at the beginning it was community, and currently since here and today we meeting with them all the day. It's our partner, and we work with them in partnership on different projects. And I would like to start by just the Chief Judy Dumoulin from Long Lake 58. Just behind we have Chief Sonny Gagnon from Ireland First Nation. We have behind the Chief Sherry Taylor from Ginogaming First Nation. The chief from AZD, the new chief just elected, her name is Yvette Metasinin. She regret to not be there, to not attend the meeting today. And Joe Darnio, representative from AZD, is here. Just raise your hand, Joe. This is the 4 First Nation we signed an agreement and are now our partner. We have the Nation Meeting Ontario 2, Tim Sinclair. And finally, the community of Greenstone, the mayor, Jimmy McPherson. This is our world, and it's with all of this partner with success. Plus, for sure, my team, we have some member behind. All the community relations are there, HR, some project manager too. Amazing team, and
great result.
Yeah. Great result. I pass to you.
Thanks, Eric. Okay. Well, you know, I have the good fortune of kind of being the figurehead of the company because somebody has to say what we're doing. But the truth is, I just burst with pride at the incredible team that makes me look good. Right? I don't do anything. I really don't. They do all the work. People at Greenstone do all the work, and as long as things go well, the company does well, and it makes us all look good. But a big mine like Greenstone is just an engine of development, and it's a win-win for everybody, for communities, for employees, for shareholders, for the country, for the province, the region. Like, it's just this mine is going to kick out, around 800 million US, $1 billion Canadian every year for years and years and years, and a lot of that stays in the region. And that's one of my favorite things about this mining industry. When things go well, that wealth creation goes a long way. And it works in Canada, it works in Mexico, it works in Brazil, and it works all over every place that we're operating. So it's one of the happiest times when you have a big operation like this that comes on stream well, and it makes a lot of people better off. So that's one of the things I love about this industry. So anyway, so that's what we're doing today. We're doing a little report card. Thank you all for coming. Okay, so this slide here is just kind of where we've come from and where we're going. We began the company in the beginning of 2018, bringing 3 companies together. Just an idea. For me, it was an idea to build a big company. This is a refrain. You've heard the same story now every year for those of you who've been here. We're trying to go big quickly. We're trying to go big because going big today, in today's capital market, actually creates wealth by itself. It's a smart strategy with the capital markets position we have today. And so to get big quickly, the other thing for me is, this is not my first company. It's actually my last company. I've built a whole pile of companies in my career. It's been a great career, but I'm at the end. And I want to go out with a bang, and Equinox, a happy bang. Happy bang. And Equinox is the way to do it for me. I love gold. I was convinced when we started this business at the end of 2017, beginning of 2018, that we were in a gold bull market. Gold was going to keep going up. And inside a rising gold price or a static gold price, if you build a big new gold company and you pull it off, you're going to create a lot of wealth for a lot of people. It's going to be a big success. 2017, 2016, we lost Goldcorp in Vancouver. And that kind of irritated me because these head offices are really important for countries. And so I'm going to try to build a company that is ultimately going to be one of these senior producers on the global scale. I've said that all along, and we're getting there. Okay, we're not there yet, but we're actually we have it in sight. We have it in sight. It's no longer necessarily a dream. All we have to do is execute. So to get there quickly, because I don't have decades. To get there quickly, you have to build mines and buy mines. And so we started out brand new, 2018. We didn't have any assets of any operating nature, didn't have an income statement. We bought a mine in California, a small, big heap leach gold mine that had a short life, couple of year life. It's been going now for 6 years. It's getting old and it's not going to last forever, but it was a great way to get started. We took one of the 2 development assets that we had in the company when we began, the Arizona mine, and we built a mine in Brazil from the wreckage of an old mine that had been a mess the previous decade, and it's been running like a top. We paid off the capital cost in 3 years. It's got a medium-term life around 10, 11 years right now, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about some growth at Arizona. 2020, again, to get scale quickly, to get into all the ETFs, to introduce new capital markets, we went and bought a company relatively cheaply called Leagold that had 3 mines in Brazil and 1 in Mexico. And the idea was, to scale up our production a lot and have a lot more liquidity, much more trading volume, and that begets more trading volume. And again, that's something that I think is a smart move in a capital market like we have today. What I didn't bank on was COVID. And the fact that, partly because of COVID and partly because of the history of that mine with other operators, we inherited a rather toxic community situation with 3 communities kind of at each other's throats and at the mine's throats. And as soon as we closed our deal with Leagold, they went and blockaded the mine for 6 months. We had to shut it down, got it going again in 2021. A different community blockaded the mine then, and it was just a mess. And we couldn't really manage it very well because of COVID. So it's been difficult. And that's something, again, I'll come back to in a minute. So Mexico, and 3 mines in Brazil came for that. We sold one of the mines, and then we built the other asset we started with called Castle Mountain. We built it as a small-scale starter mine. We call it Phase 1, to keep our permits alive while we permitted a much bigger 200,000 ounce a year gold mine with about a 16-year mine life that we had done a feasibility study on. And now we're in the middle of this joyful, cheap, but not joyful world of permitting a mine in California. And I can say, I've done in my career 3 mines in California. You can do it. You get to the finish line. It just takes a long time. And so we're in this sort of status right now where we're doing all the filling in the boxes and and all the stuff you need to do to get your operating permits to be able to start construction. So we don't know how long it's going to take. It's been a year now already, year and a bit. It might take, I think we're budgeting 2 more years. It could be 1, it could be 3, we don't know. So that's what's going on there. But in the meantime, we've got this relatively small scale kind of pilot mine happening to help do our final engineering studies and figure out the right configuration for the big mine. Well, we had a pretty good share price then. We had a great run. We got all the ETFs buying the stock. And we took advantage of this relatively low equity cost of capital through the high share price to buy Premier. And this gave us Greenstone. It also gave us another mine in Mexico that we promptly sold. It gave us a spin-out company called I-80. We spun out with Ewan Downey, wanting to build a gold company in Nevada. And we wish him really well. We owned that time 27% of the company. We own 19% now, I think. We sold some down. And he's doing incredible things. I just commend him so much for the work he's doing at I-80. His only challenge is he needs a lot of money because he's having such great success on so many different projects. So that's his situation, and he's not benefiting from the weak equity markets today. But what he's doing operationally is incredible, and so I just commend him. Big success for that. We acquired Greenstone for maybe $100 million net of the cash we got, the I-80 spin out, the sale we sold Mercedes for $100 million. We got Greenstone at a really good price. We ended up with 60%, with Orion taking out Centerra, and ended up with 40%. All the work Eric and his team had done, both on the technical side, they'd done all the front-end engineering. They were really ready to go. And if it hadn't been for this squabble between Centerra and Premier, litigation, suing each other and completely crazy stuff, they would have financed that and built it, long before. So we got really lucky. We were able to acquire Premier. They needed somebody to take them out to afford the capital to build that mine. We were there just at the right time. We got a great deal. And of course, immediately set out to finance and start construction with Eric's team and all the work he'd done with the community and with the engineering work. He had his operating team or his construction team all ready to go. We just simply provided the capital, started it up right away, right after the Premier deal closed. And that was the big deal since the end of 2021. September, October, I think is when we sort of started that. We've been working on that heads down. No more deals, no more projects. Well, we did build another mine in Brazil. We acquired that when we got Leagold. So we did build that. That mine is really close to another one of our Brazil mines. We kind of think of it as one mining unit. And then we launched this royalty company as a kind of a spin out from all the other small royalties that we either had or we were able to offer. So the last 2 years has been building Greenstone. And this is the most transformative thing in the company right now, but it's by no means the only thing we've got going. So when I do a kind of a report card, I say we deliver on promises, and we do. 2023, the big focus was constructing Green Time on time and on budget. Those words are so easy to say, and they're so hard to do, especially in this, hostile inflation environment we've had for 2 years, blowouts by every other company, no credibility in the market, especially here in Toronto, where many of these poor suffering, fund managers have had to deal with, all the capital blows at all these other projects and real train wrecks. So, there was a wall of skepticism. Every analyst in Toronto had us exceeding the budget of $1.2 billion by $200 to $500 million, which would have been a difficulty for us because we had capital to finish it, but we didn't have capital if the budget was going to blow out. So, I kind of understand the skepticism, but I had a little bit of worry myself. But I just take my hat off to Eric and his team, and of course our Vancouver office management for getting there at this point. We're pretty well done. We've got things ready to go. We're starting to fill the tailings dam with material, and we're at the 11th hour of completing the mine. We're doing commissioning now. We said we're going to pour gold in the first half of 2024. I expect it won't be at the end of the first half, but beyond that, I can't say. But I'm going to rely on Eric to beat the targets we have by quite a bit. I hope you can do it, Eric. So no pressure, though. No pressure. Obviously, guidance. We just put out our guidance yesterday. We had guidance for 2023. We're going to release cash cost. I would say I'm not going to say anything about them. I'm not really supposed to, but I think they're going to be just fine. Just fine. And replace reserves, grow resources. And this is like the next phase of the story of Equinox. It's what do we do after Greenstone? We've been in this paralysis for a couple of years while we've focused, as we should have, on Greenstone. We can see the finish line. We're not quite there. We've got another 6 months really to get things properly commissioned, to run things, make sure that, everything's screwed in properly and bolted on, and we don't blow gaskets and too many. So we've got this commissioning to go through, start up. But once it's really running smoothly, we're going to start working on the next phase. And what do we have in front of us? We have about a 30,000 ounce expansion of Aurizona by going underground underneath the open pit. There's a sheet of mineralization that is just super continuous. It's not fabulous grade. It's 2 to 3 grams per ton, but it's good ground, good continuity. Some much higher grade parts. We're going to go underground late this year and start working on the ore body and try to get into a development point where we can actually start producing from Aurizona underground as early as the end of next year. So that's one expansion. We are permitting, as I said, phase 2 of Castle Mountain, taking the production from 20,000 ounces now to 200,000 ounces. Long life, low cost heap leach mine, low risk heap leach mine. And then the big question mark we have today is what happens in Mexico. This is a mine that's been very difficult for us. It hasn't made us a nickel in 3 years. We've fed the community with $30 to $35 million a year in payments that were under agreements that were signed by earlier companies that had the mine. And quite frankly, it's not sustainable. And so we have a big dialogue right now with these 3 communities on what we call Los Filos 2.0. The plus at Los Filos is it has a 15 million ounce gold resource, between reserves and resources, 15. And as we go underground more, the grades go up. And so the smart thing to do, instead of getting 55 to 60% recoveries on a heap leach like we have right now, is to put a mill a carbon and leach mill on the property that will increase recoveries to over 90%. And so that's the smart thing to do. We're not going to do that. It's going to cost us around $300 million, plus or minus. We're not going to do it unless we've rewritten the social contracts with the communities and bring them on very much like our Greenstone partners as partners. The alternative will be we'll close the mine. We just cannot live like we've been living for the last 3 years. So we are really at a crossroads of that mine. We haven't wanted to do that surgery until Greenstone was kind of beyond its high risk point, particularly on the capital side, but we're kind of there now. So we're in the trenches with the communities in one room, trying to figure out a way to make this really a partnership operation rather than we give, you take as a philanthropy. It's not our business. And the plus to them is if we can get to a new agreement, we'll run this mine as a tremendously low cost, large. The production base and the expansion will be about 270,000 ounces a year. It'll be a big mine, potentially a tier 1 mine, very much like the Torex mine next door. And it's going to be a revenue generator for everybody for a very long time. Failing that, it's just not going to work. So anyway, that's a work in progress, but it's something that we're beginning to get very active on. Okay, so 2023, we also had careful attention to our balance sheet. We wanted to make sure we had the money to support construction at Greenstone, some contingency beyond that. Today, we have about $500 million in liquidity, a couple $100 million in cash, and then some line opportunities on our revolver, and we have some equity investments if we had to liquidate them. So we're in strong shape, but we're not in fantastic shape. We're in strong shape. We're not in weak shape. That's kind of where I position that. In terms of shareholder returns, we had a pretty good year. We outperformed the market. We outperformed the index. We outperformed most of our peers. But I don't feel terribly proud about this because we had a terrible year in 2022. It was a dreadful year. And a lot of that was just shareholders sold us because they were worried about Greenstone. and they were worried about what's happening in Mexico. So I think Mexico is out of our share price completely. Any improvement will bring that back into our share price, I think, this year. And that's one thing I'm very hopeful that we'll end up with. But a lot of this was, as the year went on, Greenstone became more and more credible. We are going to hit schedule. We are going to hit budget. And that, I think, will continue in 2024. So this is a snapshot of where we ended 2023. These 7 mines. Sounds kind of busy, but actually, Sandaluz and Fazenda are right next door to each other. We're going to try to run those as a unit, and as a unit because it's in the same belt, with a lot of common management, producing about 140,000 ounces a year. Aurizona, you've heard the story of the open pit, extending its life, going underground, long term. That'll be, I think, a multi-decade mine life there. Lots of exploration potential in the Aurizona area. Los Filos, you've heard the story there. We're going to try to double that size, subject to community revision of our community agreements. And then the Mesquite and Castle Mountain mines. Mesquite, I cannot predict right now how long that's going to go. There's lots of resource, but we need to permit it. There's a highway that we have to move and get into an area that we haven't permitted. So I cannot say how long that's going to go for. We may have to have a hiatus while we work on that permitting for that new mineralization, but we'll find out later this year. So Mesquite, it's a mature mine. It's been going a long time. It's produced more than 5 million ounces of gold, and it has life, but it requires this permitting question mark that nobody can predict in California. And then, of course, I've told the story on Castle Mountain. RDM itself, this mine has about a 3-year life left, I think, but the best returns will be in the latter part of the mine life. We have to get down to this nice pot of high-grade mineralization at the bottom of the pit, and that's what we're going to be working on this year. We're going to put some capital into pre-stripping, and then we get this nice pot of value, and then probably we'll close the mine in a few years. So that'll be beyond our portfolio in a few years as Greenstone ramps up and as we get some of these other expansions happening. That's kind of the summary of our operations. Greenstone itself, it's all pretty happy news. I've kind of gone through most of this stuff. A lot of this is in our website. You can see pictures, and really, for me, this is the past story. I'm most excited now about the commission, how that's going. Real-time stuff. When we pour gold, when we get the cash drained, converted to a cash, receipt, and that only comes when you get gold revenue. And so that's something that I hope we'll get as soon as possible, because that, of course, will also feed into our whole budget and our cash flow for 2024 and beyond. It will be a low-cost gold mine. It will be our biggest mine, long life. Relatively high grade. It'll be the highest grade of the recent gold mines built in Canada. Initial resource lasts for 14 years. We've got lots of potential beyond that. It's going to be a big mine. We own 60%. Our partner is Orion, and I'm always getting questions about Orion, if it's going to sell. The answer is yes, it will sell, because it's a fund. It is not a mining company per se, and its mandate is to sell these investments. It's done well on this. It's been a great partner. Whether it sells today or in 2 years, I don't know. It's up to them. We have a very strong right of first offer, and we hope that we will have a chance to pitch an offer that at some point in the next couple of years that will allow us to consolidate 100% ownership. We'd love to do that. We cannot say if we will. They may float a price. If they take the decision to sell, they may float a price that's, in my opinion, would be a crazy price to bid, and in which case we won't. But if that happens, and if somebody is crazy enough to pay that price, that'll value the 60% we have, and I consider that like a door prize. But it's a very good door prize, because it could value the company it'll reflect what the market is prepared to pay for that 40% of Greenstone. So we'll see. Watch this space. We'll see what happens over the next while. I expect over the next while. It may or may not be, but we'll see. It's certainly, that's the lowest hanging fruit for us in terms of an opportunity to really, really add value at a core asset that we already own 60% of. And this is just some kind of motherhood on, it's not, it's beautiful to see the opportunity to extend the mine life, going underground, expanding the production, all that stuff. But this is tomorrow's story. Today's story is commissioning, first gold pour, hitting budget, hitting schedule, all that stuff. And we still have work to do on that. And Eric's head down with his wonderful team doing exactly that. But this is the upside we have at Greenstone. There's plenty of upside. I think I've talked mostly about this. This is the Greenstone. It'll add 240,000 ounces to our production base, rolling up during 2024, full year in 2025, 30,000 from Arizona, 180 from Castle Mountain, and 125 plus or minus. I think it'll be a bit more, but anyway, 125. And so you can see my simple mission since almost the beginning was to try to become a 1 million ounce gold producer. And there's no magic to that number, but it represents scale and it represents a senior producer status. And that's really kind of mission number one for me personally. And I think it's a simple focus. The whole team's behind it. We're going to get there. We have internal growth. We don't need to buy anything more. If we do buy something more, we'll get there quicker. But this is what we have in front of us. This is what we've got our heads down on. Greenstone has been so important. We couldn't do anything else until we got that going. We're at the edge of that now. It's time to work on these other projects, right? So, today we're at this price to net asset value, 0.65. There's lots of room for us to grow based on executing our growth plan, getting our production base higher. This is our 2025 estimate, and you'll see guidance for 2024 in about a month and a bit. Late February, right, Berlin? Yeah. And this is the reason this, to me, is a sensible business plan, because you have this multiple expansion as you get bigger. And, to the extent we can enter the ranks of the senior producers in a couple of years, I think that's a real value creation proposition by itself. Everything else, reduces costs, increases cash flow, gets our dividend out, decreases our debt, long life mine assets. Like, it's just to me, it's a smart move. It's our focus, and we have now got this year. We're going to have a big jump in production from the sort of 565,000 ounces we produced last year. Okay. Now you have to do all this while not blowing your brains out on the capital structure, and I think we've done that. We've gone through the high risk point of capital blowouts at Greenstone without having to dilute the company a little bit, but not very much. We did a convert a month or so ago in order to kind of get ahead of the market, perceiving that we might have to pay cash to get a convert that comes due in April this year, paid in cash. We probably will either extend it or convert it. But assuming we don't do that, we have a wonderful, wonderful partner that owns two converts, totaling 280 million, called Mubadala. It's a big investment fund in Abu Dhabi, part of the Abu Dhabi Investment Authority. And they're such wonderful. I can't say enough good things about them. They're just been the best financial partner you could have. They have a board seat. They've been with us. They've encouraged us to do things like create what we call an asset optimization program, which means trying to squeeze more lemonade out of mines that that you can do through focusing on just little things, increasing efficiencies. And we've made, I think last year we had a plan to try to squeeze $40 million of EBITDA out of this program. We actually hit 60 million, and we're on target for another 50 million this year. So it's just incredible, and we couldn't have done that without the Mubadala support. It's been wonderful. So that's our balance sheet. As I said, I wouldn't call it fabulous. I wouldn't call it weak. It's sort of in the middle. And we hope that the cash coming from Greenstone this year is going to really make it a much stronger base. So we also do a ton of stuff on the environmental, social governance side. It's just basic business. You got to look after your employees, your communities, the environment. We focus on that. We work very hard on that. We publish a ton of material. It's all on our website on how we're doing, scorecards, the actual details of what we're doing. So I won't talk about it today other than to just emphasize how important it is to us and why it's an absolute pillar of good management of any mining company today. We take it seriously, and this includes really the appreciation I have for all of our Greenstone community to be here today. it's just part of that. I just thank you all because it's your, I guess for me, a physical representation that we're actually doing an okay job here, at least in respect of Greenstone. We still have work to do in Mexico, but for Greenstone, it's been just super pleasant for me and greatly appreciated. So we have a lot of alignment with shareholders. I'm a big investor in Equinox, of course. I'm very committed to it. I'm very excited about our prospects, and I think, when we get to the point that I can see we've kind of graduated to that senior producer status, I'll be very proud. That's one of the big things why I'm doing this, and I just think it's highly achievable, and it'll be a ton of fun. And anybody who's been with us on this journey, I hope you all feel as proud as I do that we were able to do this. This is not an easy thing. It's very easy to say you're going to do this. It's very hard to do it. It takes a lot of work, a lot of people, a lot of money, but we're doing it. And the support we get from shareholders, people in this room, analysts, investment dealers, is just, you're all part of this ecosystem of the success of this company. And so for that, I thank you too. So, looking at the macro, gold's doing pretty well. We started Equinox right then. Gold was $1,300 an ounce, and I've been banging the drums, as everybody knows here, that we're in a gold bull market, and not everybody believed me, but we have been. Look at that run from 2019 right through to December 2022, 2023. Gold blowing through $2,000. I said that a year ago. I expected it would blow through $2,000 in 2023, and it has. So I feel very happy that the call that we made on gold in 2018, which is why we built a gold company, right? To take advantage of this sentiment change that is going to boost the gold price and make people building a gold company highly rewarded in the future. And I don't think it's over. Why would it be over? What's changed today that stops this bull run? Nothing. The dollar is going to probably continue to weaken. They're going to ease eventually later on in 2024, like they've been putting noises out that they're going to. It's an election year. Every time there's an easing possibility, gold's going to jump. Every time there's a tightening possibility, it'll weaken. Maybe today it weakened a little bit. Tomorrow it could strengthen. So gold supply is static. We've had this ridiculous and incredible, unexpected demand for gold from central banks around the world, particularly China, but not only China. 500, 600, 700 tons of gold being bought. That's one of the biggest reasons gold's blown through 2,000. You've seen the Costco experience. Costco started marketing physical gold last year. Whoosh, just flew off the shelf. And that's because there's an inherent demand for this beautiful metal from a lot of people as a store of value. That's what drives gold. So I don't see any of these reasons. Gold inflation's dropping off. You get the extra benefit of operations to the extent inflation's weakening, getting the value of that in terms of your cost structure going down. Interest rates are going to weaken. I'm pretty sure that'll help us, particularly our revolver, which is quite strongly fluctuating to the spot interest rates. Tightening should ease. That's good. Global events, plus or minus. I don't really feel geopolitics is that important in the gold price, but it doesn't hurt it. I just don't like it when it happens. Wars are not good. Anyway, the gold price has been strong, favoring all gold companies. Here's what the weird thing is, though. So we are leveraged, right? We have among the highest leverage. We have the highest beta now of almost any gold stock in the intermediate space in Canada. And that's why we outperform when gold goes up and we underperform when it goes down. That's exactly what we were trying to create when we started this company. This is the weird thing. This slide right here. What this is the index of gold miners in blue, and the yellow is the gold price. So this year, but particularly since 2020, you've had this really strange disconnect. And, I've been in this game a long time. I started my first Equinox in 1985. So I've been in the game a long time. I've never seen this, ever. This is like, for me, unprecedented, where the equities are in the tank. Juniors can't finance intermediate companies like ours. It's difficult because our stock price is so cheap. And this is across the board, not just Equinox. So why is that? And when will it change? It will change. It will change. I guarantee it'll change because it's been more correlated like this for 30, 40 years, all the years of my experience in the industry. So when will it change? We don't know, but I just know things were on sale today, and when things are on sale across the board, it's a great time to be a buyer. I'm buying personally. I haven't been an investor for 3 or 4 years. I'm now starting to look at development companies, small producers, the ones that are going to have the highest leverage when things change, but also companies like Equinox, even larger producers. Pan American Silver, it's crazy how cheap that stock is compared to its earnings capacity, its asset base. Equinox is the same. So this will change either by gold prices dropping or by the equity market improving, right? That's going to be what happens, one or the other. It's not going to stay like this forever. This is very rare, and rare things don't usually stay rare for long. So I don't think the gold price is going down. Maybe it will, but I doubt it. And therefore, I'm sure that at some point, the equity prices will go up. What the catalyst is going to be that causes that, it could be one of a dozen things. But it's going to be new money coming into the gold space. Bang, it's going to be an overnight pop. We saw it in 2009. We saw it in 2002, 2003. We saw it again at the beginning of 2016. It's a joyous, happy thing. If you're long, this is just simply a statement that it's not just Equinox. It's going to benefit. It's across the board because that situation's rare and it's not going to continue. So, summary today, 7 mines, 1 big development project, 3 expansion projects, big reserve and resource base. That's our production. That's our liquidity. Just to sort of finish off, and then I'll ask for some questions. We've got this great exposure to the gold price, this really transformative asset that is going to really drive our value proposition for the next 15 years, increase cash flow, lower operating costs, and that's the punchline there. 2024, Greenstone, Los Filos, continuing development in places like Aurizona in Brazil, permitting at Castle Mountain, lots of catalysts. It's a happy story, a happy company, full of excitement, and as I said, it takes a big ecosystem to make these things work. I really appreciate the Toronto community for supporting us, for you guys coming out today. I thank you. I thank our Greenstone team, our whole team. I include the whole community, the people of Geraldton and Greenstone region in all of that. And I hope that I'll see you next year, and we'll be even a happier story yet. So thank you again, and I'll open it to questions if there are any. Yeah.
Hey Ross, Equinox has done a pretty phenomenal job in executing on the vision that you've laid out, several years ago in getting to 1 million ounces. You guys are executing at Greenstone, and if you add on to the production guidance today, you're almost 3/4 of the way there. At the same time, looking beyond Greenstone, with Filos kind of being held up indefinitely, and the permitting at Castle being maybe 2 years out, which 2 years plus a 2-year build is 4 years away. And also, just the nature of the business, Mesquite and RDM having shorter reserve lives, that could eat into the growth that you guys are tacking on. As you look towards, the post Greenstone Equinox, do you envision kind of the company taking a breather here on the growth profile to rebuild the balance sheet and accumulate some cash? Or how should investors think about the next leg of growth? And is the only kind of viable option over the next few years really to do a big bang type of growth step change, that consolidation of the 40%?
Yeah, that was a phenomenal question. Really, that was like a comprehensive question on summary of where we are at and where we're going. Thank you, great question. And I mean, the answer is it's hard to be definitive, obviously, because every month something new happens in the big picture of the gold price environment, or the equity price environment, or the debt environment, or the what's going on in all of our operations. I would not say, the only thing I would disagree with is Los Filos is not indefinite. is not indefinite. We are in the trenches right now. It's probably going to be a 2024, maybe early 2025. Come to Jesus on that. It's either going to be go ahead or shut it down, and that's going to be determinative. So I can't say which way for sure, but we're at that real milestone right now, and I expect, because it would be crazy for everybody to shut it down. That makes no sense at all. So I expect we'll get to a positive result, but it may take a little bit of grinding and back and forth. But we've got the team ready. We're in the room. I hope that it's a 2024 happy result that really takes us forward as partners. So obviously the other thing that's uncertain is Orion, what they're going to do. That could be a catalytic event. We'll see. So that's imponderable. And you're right, Castle Mountain is a question mark. Some of these things are questions. So then it comes down to your question. Really, you alluded to, well, what about another deal? What about another acquisition? The fact is, there's misery loves company, and there's a lot of misery in this space right now. A hell of a lot of misery. I'm sure a lot of your clients and your friends or you yourselves are underwater on an awful lot of gold deals. And that's just the way, that's that slide, right? This is just a weird time in the sector. And so there's more opportunity on M&A today than I've seen in a long time, but we're not going to be there for a while. We're just not. We have got to wait until two things happen. I think Greenstone has to get through this last risk phase, I'd say. And then a big catalyst will be Los Filos. We kind of want to make sure we've got some clarity there. Hello, Chris. Old friend from many, many years, from the early 90s, I'd say, right? Maybe even my first company, I can't remember. Yeah, in fact, that is something that I always have to mention, that, one of the things I'm really proud of personally is I'm able to come back here year after year after year and keep my head up. I don't feel I've blown my brains out with anybody here with telling them bad stories and things we haven't done. Like I've been very proud of that, trying to do what I say I'm going to do what we say we're going to do. And so back to the question, it's today as an investor, I feel it's like being a kid in a candy store. There's this opportunity everywhere. It's not going to last. This is the time to be buying. I just want to beat that drum. You don't have to buy Equinox. There's a ton of other value in the space. We're a good one, but there's a lot of other value. So that also works if we're combining. You maybe have a 1 and 1 is 3, rather than overpaying for something that isn't going to deliver what you want. I will say it's unlikely we're going to do anything for quite a long time, like certainly through 2024, but not impossible. Sometimes you just see value that you just can't resist. If it's really deep value, I'm a value buyer. I do that in my personal account. I do that with Equinox. And you've seen that with things like, well, actually both Leagold and particularly Premier. We just got an absolutely great deal on that. You can see that with Pan American, the deals we've done with that. It's the same thing. So, yeah. Did I answer your question? Yeah. No promises, but, we're looking, never say never, but it's unlikely, but not impossible. Yeah. I will just finally say thank you and good wishes for 2024. And I'll see you next year, same time. Thank you.